everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jessica and today's video is going to be a bag reveal and also story time, as well as some tips and tricks on how to authenticate the first version, or which I'm going to call vintage version, of the Lady Dior bag. So that is what I'm going to be revealing, and also just kind of telling you my story and figuring out how to make sure that yours is authentic. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is my new to me vintage or first edition Lady Dior bag. This is in the medium or classic size, and I bought it from eBay Authenticate, or sorry, eBay Valet, not eBay Authenticate. So I will give you sort of a story time about that in a moment, but I just first want to talk a little bit about the bag. This bag is a classic, I think the most classic bag from Dior. I really wanted it. I was really excited to get it. This is the medium classic size. I could not decide between the mini, the medium, or the large, and when I do a review, I'll show you some pictures of me trying them on and trying to decide which size to get. But this is the classic, and so I decided to get this one, and I really did like it. I also liked that it had a zip closure, which the small or mini does not. So that is sort of a little overview of the bag. It is in black lambskin. Obviously it's the gold hardware, but I will show you how I knew it was authentic. First, I will kind of tell you my story. So I bought this from eBay Valet. There is eBay sellers, which is just people selling their own things. Then eBay actually does the selling in some instances. So you can send them your items and they will sell them for you. You get less profit, less percentage of commission, but you don't have to do any of the work. So that can be helpful. eBay Authenticate is a new offshoot, which I know there are a couple of videos out there talking about, which is where they sell your luxury bags. And basically they have to be in really good condition. Luxury bags, I mean, they're trying to basically become like a fashion file, Yugi's Closet, that sort of thing. eBay Valet, you can send them anything. And so this person sent in this bag, and eBay Valet was selling it. They were also selling one in navy, but I really wanted the black. I got a really good deal on it, and when I got it and I opened it up, I looked it over and I said, this bag is fake. And I had spent a lot of time researching Lady Dior's. I'd bought one off of Poshmark, which turned out to be fake, which I could tell very easily it was a really bad fake. So that one was pretty obvious, but this one I was kind of surprised about because I know that eBay Valet looks over and authenticates their items before they go. They don't have the guaranteed authenticity that eBay Authenticate has, but they do authenticate their items. And so I was kind of thinking, okay, well, maybe now that eBay Authenticate exists, everyone that used to authenticate from eBay Valet is now over there and authenticating there. I wasn't sure, but I got this and I said, this is fake. And I want to tell you the things I realized about it, which made me think that it was fake. Then after I was upset, I'd set up a claim and I'd asked to return it, and I said, these are the reasons why I think it's fake, and they immediately accepted the return. They do accept hassle-free returns, but I thought that they were kind of admitting that they thought it was fake because they were paying for shipping, which a lot of times they'll accept returns, but you have to pay for the return shipping. But I guess they didn't want to get into the hassle of it, so they were just kind of like, okay. Then that night I was like, all right, fine, I guess I'm going to have to spend more money than I really wanted to make sure I'm going to get a real one, because there are a ton of fakes out there, and I was really upset about it. And so I thought, okay, let me just look on Fashion File and other things. And of course they were significantly more expensive than I paid for this one, but all of a sudden I came across one on Fashion File and I looked at it and I said, this is the same bag. This is the same thing, that everything that I thought was fake about this bag is up here on Fashion File. And I was like, something is strange. Maybe this is a vintage version. Fashion File doesn't always take vintage. I wasn't sure what was going on. So then I decided to do a ton more research. So I spent a lot of time doing research and realized that actually the first version of the Lady Dior is different than the current version. It's been around for a long time and it hasn't changed much, but this first version was quite different than the current version. And so I realized, oh my gosh, all the things that I thought made it fake actually just indicate its age. So I'm going to tell you about those things. Anyway, before I get into that, I guess before I show you around, I looked at the item again and I said, okay, I'm going to send pictures to Authenticate first, which I did. It's $10. They have expert authenticators and they will authenticate your item for you. So I sent them all of the pictures and really made sure I emphasized all the things that I wasn't sure about. and it came back and they said it was real. So I closed the return. I decided not to return the bag, and here I am. So I love it. I actually really like the older version. Maybe eventually I'll get a newer one, but I'll show you this bag and the condition that it is in. I'm not going to do a review. I may save mod shots and that sort of thing for later because I want to use it before I give a review and show what fits inside and all of that. This is really just story time. So anyway, this bag is real, but I do want to show you what I saw that made me kind of question that. So the first thing I noticed, and I went to see the Lady Dior in person a few different times. I talked to the sales associates, and a lot of times they said, you know, the bag hasn't changed that much over time, and these are things that are constant. But of course, again, this first version was a little bit different. So one thing is that the handles fold all the way down. Now, the leather is a little warped, so that could help make it sort of fall all the way down, and sometimes it does get caught and stay kind of in the middle, but as you can see right now, the handles have fallen down. In the newer versions, they stop here. So that is something that's a little bit different. I actually like that the handles fall all the way down. I think that that's quite nice. It's more comfortable when you're carrying it on your shoulder. This strap is a little bit smaller as well, and so it's really better for a shoulder bag than a crossbody strap. But the strap is here, and so I liked that it folded down, but then I realized that you cover up the Dior, and so, you know, you don't see kind of the beauty of the bag quite as much. That's the first thing. In terms of wear, I noticed that there was wear on the corners, but that was pretty much it. There's a little bit of stuff on the bag. It could use another cleaning, but generally it's pretty good. The hardware's got some minor scratches, but nothing terrible. The worst is right there, and it's quite small. So that's the bag. The biggest thing about this bag, the biggest issue, is the loss of shape. So it's stuffed right now, but I will show you what it looks like when it is not stuffed. Here's the bottom of the bag. So this is the next thing that I thought indicated that this bag was not real, but in fact just makes it vintage. This first addition is that it does not have feet. So the Lady Dior should have 4 or 5 feet in the newer version, and they have sort of this special shape that a lot of other bags don't use. So I know a lot of places had said to authenticate it, make sure that the feet are correct. So I got this bag and said, well, there are no feet, so obviously this is not real. Again, first version. Most of the authentication sites out there that say how to authenticate your Lady Dior are not talking about this first edition. They're only talking about the more recent versions. So that was one thing. Another thing that I kept in mind to authenticate was that the CD is the same on all of these, that it is etched nicely, of course. Another thing to notice is that the interior has the screw backs. So these aren't actually screw backs, but they are there to be reminiscent of this first sort of idea. Now, perhaps the newer ones have the fake screw backs just to be reminiscent of the first version, and perhaps these are real and it is just screwed in. I'm not sure about that, but I know that you want to make sure that it has this kind of screw backing. This should be quite heavy as it is here, this nice pull, and it should have these 3 different rings going different directions, basically. So all of that indicated that it was in fact real. That's the exterior. The other things that I noticed were the interior. So let me quickly unstuff it so that I can show you that. Okay, so here is the interior of the bag. If you notice, the bag has lost its shape. So it kind of folds down right in here. It folds over right here. The longer I leave it unstuffed, the worse that becomes. I did get a quote from leather surgeons for $375 to dye it back, basically help to make the corners look better, and also to go inside the bag and to fix the structure of it, basically. So I probably will eventually do that, but that's not something I feel the need to do right now. So if you get the black and you get the classic, it has the classic lining. And what I noticed was I thought that the zipper pull looked kind of cheap. Then I discovered, again, all of those other bags out there from these reputable sites all had the same pull. And then another thing you want to keep in mind, this one was good for this, is that it should have stitching all around it. Even though it's not actually attached, it should have this stitching, and the top stitching should be a different color. It also should have rounded edges. It shouldn't be a full square. So this tag, of course, since it's real, is correct. But then if you notice on the other side of the tag, it says made in Italy, as it should, but with no date code. So the first version also didn't have a date code. So I don't know exactly which year this is from, but sometime in the 90s, since that's when this bag came out and it's the first version. There's also some CDs on the lining in there, which you can help to make sure that that is correct. It's got the canage print, but also it's got those linings, and then the inside pocket also has that as well. So hopefully that shows you some of the different aspects to look out for when you are authenticating. Sorry, the tag got stuck. The other thing you may want to quickly notice is the shape, the lines going down the side, right? The canage print does get cut off, so it's not completely the same. It's not uniform all around. The size, I believe, of the print either does not, I don't want to talk about that because I don't know if it does not change and it's the same number across, or the size stays the same, and so the bigger or smaller you get, it has a different. But make sure that you know how many of these different diamond quilted shapes should be on the correct size that you have. So this is the medium, and again, this is correct. Another thing to keep in mind is the handles. The stitching should go around but not continue up this side. It also should bump out like so. And the inside should have the same pattern. Let's see if you can see that. Stitching should be the same on that as well. Handle should be flat on the inside, and the bag should be pretty light. It's really quite comfortable to wear. Then you get to the charm. The charms do get a little bit messed up, so just because you see a picture and maybe all of the letters aren't in the front doesn't mean it's not real. They do get kind of turned around, but one thing to notice is the shape of the different letters. Obviously the O is the largest, but the O should be attached to the black leather part, and the black leather should say Dior on the back side. If it says it on the front side and it's attached that way, that is an indicator that it is not real. So that is something else to keep in mind. But hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to look for, tells you my little bit of story time, and also reveals this Beauty Youth classic that I'm super excited to have in my collection. If you have questions you want me to answer when I do the review, please let me know. But I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions and you want me to look at anything more specifically on my older version, please do let me know and I will be happy to help. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a later video. Bye!